John Hutzko.
Russ Smith. Michael O'Brien.
Lori G.
John Cutler.
Bob Wilbark.
Great. If everyone would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have two upcoming meeting dates, one on March 19th and another on April 2nd. And we have a few sets of minutes to approve, and bear with me one moment. Okay, our November 20th meeting looks like we were all here. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 20th?
So moved.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and our minutes from December 4th, again, looks like everybody was here, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 4th?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. And December 18th, again, wow, full attendance, great.
Wow.
Do I have a motion to approve
Close
the
out the
minutes of
year.
December 18th?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the last one on January 15th, let's see.
You haven't read them all.
We want to hold off on January 15th?
Go ahead.
I've read them, but if you
Oh,
guys
no,
want
no.
me to hold off, I can put them off to the next meeting.
That's okay.
Okay. Let's see, we had Michael, Russ, John Hutzko, and Bob at the meeting, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes of
So
January
moved.
15th? So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
And John Cutler abstains. Okay, great, thank you. The first item on our agenda is a public hearing for Taconic Innovation Site Plan on Route 376. And Pam, do we have everything we need to open the public hearing? Yes. Great. So do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, toward that, yeah.
Yep. And Mark, you may just want to move the mic stand next to so that we can pick up your voice if you're talking there too. Thank you.
Mark Day, Day Engineering. I'm representing this evening Taconic Innovations. The project has been in front of the board. It was originally two single projects. This project here was previously approved under the same applicant. This property here is known as the 877 parcel. This parcel is the 879. You might know it as the Bonte project. It's on 376. It's an existing metal building. Under the prior approval for this 877, this building was actually the same building. The entrance to this building was facing east. This proposal, this amended site plan, flips this entrance to this building to face the other building, which you can see here. This is the 877 building. This is the 879 building. What we've done here is the prior approval, the 877 had a proposed entrance in here, and the parking was basically back here. What we were able to do when the applicant purchased the 879 parcel was to utilize an existing entrance that was here. We no longer are building this entrance. We were able to reconfigure the parking for both the buildings, and we were able to create a much larger green space and create more of a campus style, which is what we're presenting tonight. Both of these systems, or both buildings, have subsurface sewage disposal systems. Right now we're proposing to utilize this single well, which will be servicing this building until such time that this building is built. Right now the town is discussing possibly extending the water main, which is down here. If that in fact is extended, both these buildings would be tied into it, and we would abandon this existing well and connect both buildings. In the event that this doesn't happen then we would propose a water treatment facility in this part of this building, which would feed this building and then backfeed this building. As I said, it's on Route 376. It's on the south side of the road. The Sons of Italy property is right here. We've been working with the consultants. We're pretty far along. Been in front of the Board of Health. We've been through one review with them. And that's pretty much it.
How about the purpose of the building as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. This building right here will serve as a therapy facility for autistic. Right now, the owners also own 872, which is this facility here, and they're busting at the seams. This building is built to take that, the administration, and also half of the first floor of this building will serve as a day program for that facility.
And you have your elevations here. Have you been to the ARB yet?
We have.
Okay. Are these approved, or are you going back for
I
final?
don't think you ever really make a swish there. You're always going back. So what we've done is we proposed for the new facility. The other building was already approved. They wanted us to modify this building, the proposed building, to be more like this building. It's just not easily done, as you can tell. First of all, different style of structure. This is more of a hardy plank wood frame. This is a 2-story steel structure, brick ephes. So we made presentation knowing this building presently, you may have seen it, is under construction right now. They've framed it, the roof's on it, the walls are up. So we're really trying to get their approval for this proposed building in 879. What we're proposing to do is a 2-story structure. It's going to be primarily masonry. We're going to be doing an ephes, what they call a total wall system, for 2 sides of it, which there's a ephes on the front face. There's ephes also on the side and the rear. Because of the orientation of this building, this is your main entrance, which is this part of the building right here. This is your main entrance. There's going to be an ephes curve, and this is going to be an ephes front. This will not. This is more of a service corridor, so it'll be strictly masonry. We're going to be using a proposed, it's a hunter green. It'll be a raised seam roof. We're going to use a hunter green finish for the Kynar finishes for all the windows. So basically that's it. So we have been, I've got another meeting with them Thursday evening. Basically their comments were they wanted us to corbel the brick in the corners, which we've done. They wanted a row soldier brick between the floors. They wanted us to make sure that the frames for the windows were in fact green, which they were proposed to be green, so we didn't modify that. They wanted this color of ephes to match this building, and although it's tough because the plotter doesn't do it, but this ephes color will match the color of the 877 structure, and that's pretty much it.
And I'm sorry, the new building, Mark, the use of the new building, I think I interrupted.
It's administration, and half of the first floor is a day program, so.
Also for autism?
Yes,
Oh.
correct.
Do we have any questions or comments from board members? Okay. Joe, why don't we go ahead and start, anything we should make note of, or anything that's pending for the plan?
I don't know, Mark's been working fairly closely on the stormwater items with our office, and he's in fact resubmitted a SWIP. We haven't really had a chance to look at it yet, but from reading through the responses, it seemed like he was at least, acknowledged those comments and had some means of addressing them. We have to get into the details of that a little further, but it seems like his approach is doable under what his response had described. As far as the water service, Mark and I did talk about that a little bit. Scott and I talked separately as well. And that scenario, the details for it still need some fleshing out on that, but I know that he was planning to add some notes on the plans that described connecting to the water once it's available. There might be some, the water where it is, as Mark pointed out, is down the road, so there may need to be some kind of an arrangement on getting it to this project itself, and we can work out those details. But that would be a beneficial thing, because then they don't have, water quality with the well, and just a more reliable system. They might be able to do sprinklers much more readily. So,
And Mark, while we're talking about the well, do you feel there's enough, you can draw enough from that well to serve both buildings?
We've actually already tested it. The well's fairly new. It's not an old well. We actually ran the tests on it about 3 weeks ago in anticipation of the Board of Health review for the water system. Surprisingly, there's nothing in it. There's usually hardness, but it's not. It's one of the few wells I've seen in this area that are not hard. It doesn't exceed iron or manganese limits, which is rare for this area for water. But it's fairly clean. We tested for a full baseline scan, SOCs included. We found nothing. So.
the rest of the comments are fairly minor clarification, detail type comments, so.
Okay. And then, Michelle, I think we had the fixtures, I think they proposed were not full cutoff yet, so have we clarified the lighting plan and?
It's very low levels of lighting, extremely low. It's LED, it's very efficient lighting.
Okay.
The fixtures are just like, they're globe style, and they're not full cutoff. I'm not sure if it's possible to get them shielded on top. I don't know if they can add a shield to make them full cutoff or not, but they are very, very low, so it is unobtrusive. It's just that you will get some night sky pollution. I mean, it is in a business district, but I just wanted to make you aware that it isn't full cutoff.
So Mark, they're LED fixtures, so the light should be fairly directional anyway?
Yeah.
Or- Okay.
Yeah, I agree. They're very low. They're not. It's not something you'd use at a ball field. I mean, they're very low.
They're within the Greenway connections guidelines.
Okay.
There's nothing more than, the lighting plan is showing no more than 2, or actually it's 1.6, I think is the maximum lighting level on the plan. So it is very low levels. It's just,
And you would intend to have them on only during the hours of operation of the building or up till a certain point?
They're going to be on a photo.
Couple safety lights, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, they'd be on a photometric. They obviously wouldn't work during the day, but just at the times that they'd be there at night. So.
Anything else? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, the regular hours, I thought, it's not like it's evening.
No, they're done by 6, so they're generally
So I thought it
closed
was
up.
6.
So, but with daylight savings time, then they would we cut them off after that.
And anything else, Michelle, with regard to the parking, I know we've got a lot of land banked parking that we're proposing here, and Mark, I think you redesigned a portion of the parking lot so that the circulation works.
Yes.
Are we still comfortable with the amount of parking that's land banked? I know you lost a couple spaces in catering.
I think the applicant is. A lot of the employees here are on the road. Many of them, and I'm using the wrong terminology, pardon me if I do, but they're basically doing site visits. They come into the administration facility, the 879. They'll be there. It's one day a month to do required paperwork, but for the most part, they're on the road. The clients are actually picked up by minivans that are part of this program. So there's not a flow of cars in and out in the morning to drop clients off. They're actually picked up by the applicant.
Is that true for both buildings or just the larger?
It'll be both, right? Both buildings.
Okay.
And that's one of the things we had talked, I had written a letter in response to what we anticipated traffic to be like here. Obviously, we did a breakdown of what we thought the traffic movements would be on an hourly basis. One of the things we didn't take into consideration is possibly deliveries. Deliveries, if they come in, more than likely if it's UPS or FedEx, they would hit both sites, obviously not making an entrance or exit back onto 376, they just serve both sites.
Right.
So we feel comfortable with the number of spaces that are right now allotted.
Mark, will there be a cafeteria in this place?
No, there's like lunchrooms, but there's no cafeteria.
So there's no, like, routine deliveries of?
No, not really. No, it's just paper. I would think it's basically an office. The day program is, it's not, there's no food service or anything like that. It's not a food prep, I should say. I mean, they make sandwiches maybe, but they wouldn't be doing, intense food prep. There's no kitchens proposed in here. What's proposed is basically in the suites, like in the administration suites, there's kitchenettes, sinks with refrigerators, coffee makers and the like, but no stoves, nothing like that.
Brendan, were we comfortable with the peak hour traffic? And I know you were looking at some of those numbers.
Right. We did evaluate what Mark had sent in. He did send in a schedule of anticipated site-generated traffic based on the number of employees they're going to have at the facility and the scheduled pickup of the clients that are going to be coming. The peak hour in the morning, they anticipate about 22 total movements between 8 and 9, and in the afternoon it's actually going to be early, between 2 and 3 they have 28 cars arriving between that hour. So it's not that high of a generation, and when you consider the fact that these two buildings are replacing existing buildings that were there at some point in time that had some traffic to it, you're looking at a net gain of traffic probably in the magnitude of about 15 cars. So it's not an intense use. I think the only thing that we noted is because it's specific to this use and this tenant, that there be some notes added to the plan to indicate that if the tenancy or use change, that they would have to come back in for approval to the board.
And I think, Mark, we may have talked about this in one of the other meetings. The site across the street, also owned by the applicant. Is there any overflow parking, or is there any cross parking, or is there a use that's moving over here?
That use is moving to this site. They'll still occupy 872. They'll repurpose that building, but there's no communication as far as these two buildings. These personnel aren't going to have to cross the road. That's strictly why we did this. This was part of, first of all, 872 was too small for what they needed. And now 879 will replace 872, or a large part of 879 will replace it. And then the services are shared between these two sites. There's no need to go back to 872. 872, again, will be owned by the applicant, not for this purpose. It'll be repurposed for another part.
Okay, and you don't anticipate needing any parking sharing or anything like that?
No. There is plenty of parking over there, so in the event that there was a need to do it, there could be, but we don't anticipate it.
Okay.
I've also never seen in that area people pulling in or out of the facility, ever. It's so seldom you never see them.
Brendan, what was the intent of the letter from the DOT on the 13th of February? Was this letter that kind of says all proposed work, blah, 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 blah? I mean, there were no surprises in that.
No, that was, there was an original highway work permit issued for the smaller building.
Right.
And they, instead of applying for a new highway work permit, they amended that permit to include this new combined access.
Okay.
So that's all that was, and they actually they have the approval from the DOT. The DOT has approved this combined single access for the two sites.
Thank you.
What are the ages of the?
They vary from, I'm not sure the ranges. What do you, it's infant from
Very young, I
adult.
understood, yeah.
So
Is there medical staff on site or
No.
medical? No? All right.
the only other question I had,
They had a question.
I have a lot of questions.
we'll call for comment, just bear with us one
Thank
second.
you.
Yep. Mark, the only other thing I had noted, I know you said there isn't a need to have folks move across the street to the other building from this site, but what about accessing some of the other services along 376? Or do we need sidewalks there? One of
Well-
the things we're trying to do is make sure we get sidewalks on some of these roads.
I know
so.
Brendan and I emailed back and forth. I don't believe we would be adverse to giving an easement. We would rather not bring a sidewalk out to 376. It promotes somebody to walk out to something there's no service to, and if you walk out onto a fairly busy road. So we originally had shown one, and we thought better of it. So I don't believe we have an issue with giving up an easement, however wide it needs to be, for a future sidewalk there, but we would rather not promote someone walking out to that area.
I did look at the width of the highway
We're not sure
boundary.
if the right of way would.
Yeah, and there's, from the edge of the existing pavement, not, any future widening of the road, but to the property line was about 7 feet, which is probably tight to be able to install a sidewalk and get it graded. So I think what I suggested to Mark, an easement in the magnitude of about 10 feet along the front of the property would be able to accommodate a future sidewalk.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay. What I'd like to do is, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against the Taconic Innovation Site Plan, we have a sign-up sheet here at our front table. I'll just have you come in and just sign in on the clipboard, and then we'll call you in order up to the podium. So if you want to ask questions, come on up now. And we'll just have you sign in on the clipboard, and then you can come right up. And you can come right up, ma'am. We know you're first.
We're here.
Yep.
I've never
Absolutely.
attended
Yeah.
before, so.
No, that's
That's
fine. We're
okay.
glad you're here.
I'm here because my property backs right up to the back of this
Okay.
project. And I saw a sign, obviously there's construction going on. I've had other residential things going on that backed up my property. I've always been notified of that, but I wasn't notified of this. So is that not something that's normally done, or?
Normally, if your property is within 500 feet of our of the border of the site, you should
Uh-huh.
receive a notification. So,
Never did.
Mark, can we just confirm?
We did, we dropped them off. There was 2 that came back today that were not picked up that I dropped off.
Because we send them certified, so bear with us one bit. What's your street address?
863 So I'm right, my property's right backed up to the line there,
Okay.
the back of the parking.
We'll confirm, we'll look into that, but do you have any questions or comments on the site
Yeah,
itself?
I mean, I'd like to know. I don't know anything about it, so this is my first
Okay.
to know this.
And this, just so you know, this is our first public hearing for this.
Okay.
The building that Mark mentioned is already under construction, also
Right.
went through a public hearing process.
Okay,
About a year ago, maybe, I think that closed out.
so would I have been notified of that also?
Again, depending if you're in that 500 feet or not, you may or may not have been, but they do post the signs out on the road. They're supposed to have
Which
the
is
signs
what
out.
I saw, yeah, but I've always been notified before, so
It
that's,
is, it is on the list here.
why
Okay,
I was
yeah, we'll just make
surprised.
sure we have the receipts.
So, you said is this an existing program that's moving, or is this something, where are they moving from?
872, which is actually.
Oh, it was a small program across the street?
Correct.
Okay, so it's expanding.
Yes.
And it expanded that much to fill the space?
Yes.
So it was across the street, in that small space, really? Okay. So behind the 2 buildings is all parking?
Yes, right now, what we're proposing is, we're proposing parking space areas here.
Uh-huh.
This is land bank, this will remain green. you know, in the event that it's necessary to pave that, we would. Right now, we're proposing it just to remain as a lawn. Then the roadway comes in and creates a loop, and then this is grass area here, so.
Grass area and there's parking around it?
Yeah, there's parking here.
On the
and
sides
then-
around it?
Yeah, no, right here. This is the parking for this part of the building.
Right.
And then the roadway comes in, this is a refuse enclosure here, and then you loop around, it's a one-way, and you go out.
And so what is behind the line on the bottom, is that what backs up to my property?
Are you here, you said?
No, I'm in the back.
You're here?
I'm on the
The
back
other
here.
side.
Over here?
Corner, right there.
Yeah.
There's nothing going in here, this will all be green here. This is all
So
grass.
you're leaving a space of green.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
all actually landscape. But this is all landscape.
And then there's gonna, because I know there were some trees that came down.
Yes, they were, because what's happening is there's a storm sewer system in here, but once that's in, then this becomes grass, and then there's trees in here.
You're gonna put trees in there?
Yeah, there's landscape.
So there'll be some kind of cover.
And that was actually proposed on the last project, the 877.
I don't know anything about that.
Mark, do we have the landscape plan
I
in
didn't,
hand?
I might have it on,
On the book?
you know what? I might have it.
And Pam, did we relocate?
What address?
863. Here,
Okay, he doesn't live there.
You're welcome to.
It was never picked up?
It was never picked up, it looks like.
But where was the slip that went with it?
The postal service would have had that.
In the
They would've-
mailbox at this address? Because I never received anything.
Yeah, and depending on how you receive your mail, it would either be on your door or it would be in your post box, letting you know there's a letter.
And
Because
when
it
did this
required
come?
signature. The postmark should be on the front.
February 7th? I never got it. There usually is a slip in the mailbox.
Right, usually.
Is that a correct owner for that address? Is that?
I just lived there.
Okay.
But I still would have gotten the slip in the mailbox,
You
but I didn't get
You
it.
should have, yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason you might not have, maybe if he had a forwarding address or something like that, they might not have delivered it because it was certified. But this was the owner of record, so that's why that's.
Okay, but if there's two owners on the property, why would it just go out to one?
It's the first name in the deed.
Right.
Oh, the
that's-
first name in the deed? Oh, okay.
May I see that?
Yeah,
I
envelope,
think
please.
he actually came off the deed before February 7th.
Well, he says the rules only change once a year on March 1st. That's by the county.
Okay. Well, we're sorry that you didn't
But-
receive the
Before I-
notification. You
yeah,
should
I
receive them in
just,
the
You know,
future.
I'm just used to being notified, and
Right.
I saw this project going on then.
Yep.
I'm glad you came.
So February 7th was the first time that you would notify?
Right. That's correct.
For this public hearing.
I mean, I just wanted to know what was going on and what kind of,
Shouldn't she have been notified for the last one, because that was considerable
Would
time
have
ago?
been, yes. Yeah. But again, not knowing who was living there at the time, that the initial notice would have gone to Mr., and I'm sorry, I can't remember the last name. now, but-
Contreras, yeah, but we still, I mean, wouldn't you have gotten a slip back that it wasn't picked up or something?
I do, but I do get slips back that it's not picked up.
Is that what
Majority
happened?
of them,
Yeah, this one?
and the letter came back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just very surprised. I usually get a slip in the mail anyway, but.
If you want, this is the
There's the
landscaping
plan.
plan. Here-
Oh, thanks,
This
Mark.
is, this is the amount of trees. I mean, we're proposing quite a bit of trees behind this area, okay? We're proposing trees in this area, and we're actually doing quite a bit here, pretty much throughout the site. That was
Mark?
part of the plan.
Mark, what is being planted? Can you see from the table, do you know, are those like pine trees or evergreen or?
Evergreen.
I can't see 'em.
They show on the plan, that, the four big ones are evergreen trees.
Oh, okay, those are evergreen.
ZPS, yeah, they're white pines.
I'm sure, I just wanted to
Fine.
see what was going in and what was.
Oh, that's why we do this. That's
Going
why-
up, so it seems like, And you said it's, the hours of operation are between 8 and 6?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a comment made that there was a structure with traffic. There's been no traffic going in and out of that structure. That structure had been occupied, I don't believe, correct? So it is new traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, at some point when it was occupied, I think, just. sort of
yeah,
in
since
the
I've
minutes.
lived there, I don't even, which has been 12-plus years, I don't recall any, you know. So that's all new traffic to the area, which already has a lot of traffic. But is what it is. Okay. So it's basically, it's just administration and
And the programs that were across the street.
And this is administration, and they also have
and therapy is just inside the building. Okay. I mean, is there anything else that you think I should know? I mean, I guess not, it seems like. And Taconic Innovation, what's the name of the actual, is that the name of the association?
Yeah.
Taconic Innovation? And that's been in existence for across the street, or do they have other
No, they
locations?
have other places
Yeah.
throughout. They're down in Westchester and other areas.
All right, so, go on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a few others sign up?
Now we have Adam
Adam?
Gentile.
Good evening.
I live 874, right next to 872.
Okay.
I'd like to point out that Matthias has been a wonderful neighbor to us, no problems there. The only questions I have are, A, the impact on the groundwater. As you mentioned, we've got pretty good water for the area. I have a family in my house. My house is in our East Fishkill Historical Society book. It's photographed in there. It's 1810 to 1820. So we've spent a lot of hard work, money, trying to keep it, standing. So we're concerned about the impact, because obviously the size of the second building is the concern. I don't have an issue with the first building. That seems to be pretty reasonable, but large size. So I just want the reassurance about the water. You're talking about bringing water line up the street. That's. I was a general contractor for 23 years in Westchester County. I know the cost of bringing water into a home from the street is not low.
Right.
So, right now we have no reason to need those services, and I'd really not like to have to incur the cost of those services. Based on the impact of these two structures right across the street from our house, which we get our water tested every 6 months. We don't have any problems, but, it's a major concern. I would also say and I didn't think of it until 20 minutes ago, the sidewalk thing is an interesting aspect. I have 2 kids. We like to use the bike trail down the road. We have no access to it unless we load up the bikes on the car and drive down the street, which seems to be a common occurrence in our country. It's a bit of a problem. It'd be nice to be able to actually ride down the street, walk down the street. Route 376 is a very dangerous place, especially to raise kids. We're not the only family on the street. Right next door, 876, there's 4 kids in a 2-family. The next house down, which is a 1782 salt box, has grandkids, children, in and out of there. So we would love to see some kind of action by the town to create a way for us to get up and down the street. This road has become kind of like the new Hopewell Junction. It's got medical, it's got restaurants, we've got all kinds of things going on, which is all well and good, and we're certainly not standing in the way of progress. But usually when progress comes, so do the infrastructure to support a lifestyle that you'd like to enjoy. So the only 2 aspects of the project I'm interested in are the groundwater quality going forward down the road, and also bringing this part of this. Yeah, I know everybody thinks it's industrial or it's a commercial zoned property, but there are families here too. So we don't have the luxury of being a block in or a block back, being off the road. So it would be nice to just see some effort to bring us into the community.
And that's partly what we're discussing, is being able to have the easements. I hesitate to want sidewalks to nowhere, so if this applicant put a sidewalk in front of their property
Sure.
right now, it really wouldn't go anywhere, but it's having that easement put in, it means that at some point when the town has enough of that road covered, it gives us the ability to do that in the future, but it wouldn't be something that would happen right now.
New York, it's a state highway, and New York State does have a plan to put sidewalks.
Okay.
And what the town has been trying to do, as the LA said, is by reserving easement strips, et cetera, et cetera, will help induce the state to do the project sooner rather than later.
Sure.
Because that drives the cost down, so that's that. The second thing with the water, that would be under the jurisdiction of the health department. They are part of the process, they've been notified, they've done some testing, they've submitted it to the health department, and all of that would be vetted by the Department of Health.
Right, and I understand that it's their job to make sure that whatever the project, the impact of the project does not affect the surrounding community to the extent where they would lose their ability to draw water from a well. However, I've got a lot of experience in this business, and I know that stuff happens. So my question is, are there plans or are there provisions for such occurrences where?
Well, as you heard, there's discussion about extending the public water main, which is now just down by the school.
Right.
Because that had to be put in, the town's acquired that water system, has put in hundreds of thousands of dollars into a filtration system, and that water is now of the quality and quantity that's able to be moved around to a further area. So the discussion is that if the water main is extended on a timetable quick enough, this building would connect to that public water system as opposed to putting your own system.
But
Which
he
is
would
great.
not be,
Doesn't
his
really-
property would not be required to hook up to this.
No, I'm not, that's not really my
Okay.
point. My point is that, and I understand that they would be able to, either they'd be mandated to hook up to it, or they would have the option to do so. It doesn't really change the impact of the two buildings on the water table or the supply, which affects me. So that's.
Well, the site
that's
is
my
being
concern.
approved under the MS4, the stormwater discharge process. The town is the administrator of that for the New York State DEC, and the town consulting engineers and the applicant's engineer have to go through an
Sure,
extensive
I understand.
process to develop that. And that whole purpose is to have basins, et cetera, that filter out any materials that shouldn't go back into the groundwater prior to doing it, so.
All right, fair enough. And I would say that we personally would not be opposed to having easements on our property. Obviously, the state, owns that highway plus 10 feet or whatever it is, 7 feet at the moment. And, I'm not asking or suggesting that someone else do something I wouldn't do myself. So I'm just saying, as a town, this area is becoming more of the town. It's becoming more part of the town. There's things
Right.
on that strip of highway that are becoming very attractive to other people to come to, either restaurants, the medical clinic, and things like that. And, these are the kinds of things I would say would facilitate or necessitate a little bit more infrastructure. And now if it falls on the state, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, the state of New York is one of my biggest customers, so I understand how they work. But the point is, I don't have any objections to what's going on. I'm just stating what our concerns are, because I wasn't aware of exactly what the plans were.
Right.
I know their business, and they do a very good job with what they do. We don't have issues with that, so I just wanted to make sure everybody understood where I'm coming from. I know this is all, on tape. So in 12 years, and I don't have any water, we'll be reviewing the tape, right? And there'll be a guy on TV with a very expensive suit, right? So you understand all that? So that's basically what I'm getting at. Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Do we have anyone else that signed up?
There's no one else that has
Is
signed
there anyone else who would like to speak for or against the Taconic Innovation Site Plan? Okay. Joe, do we have what we need as far as the stormwater and things like that, or are we still working on things that we can't close the public hearing? Oh, and I'm sorry, ARB, right? We need to have ARB finish. I'm sorry, we
Yeah.
do need to adjourn.
Okay.
We have to get your ARB finished up.
What are we still
All
waiting
right.
for from the ARB? I thought,
Going
These-
into meeting number 2.
Yeah.
okay,
On
but I
Thursday.
mean, I thought there was like a known list, and it was just kind of checking it off, right?
Yeah, we've done it. I'm sure, like I said, they asked us to carve over corners a row of soldier brick. They wanted the ethos to match the 877 building. They wanted green frames, which we've always proposed for window frames. And
Right, the stuff you counted off before. I mean, I would hate to leave the meeting, the public hearing open just for a quantified list and have to reopen it later on and say, yep. But that's,
I'm not sure I followed that. He needs to go back to the ARB.
It's a known
and
list.
Our process is also their process, so they need to be
Right.
done before we're done.
right, but, okay.
Michelle, you'll tell me if I'm incorrect in that, but,
But we have to close after they do. We can't close and then say.
No, what the chair is saying is that the ARB meets and reviews the plan, and a preliminary proposal comes before the public at the public hearing. Then the ARB reads the minutes of the public hearing, see what comments they were made about the building. They will then finalize it at their next meeting, do their final recommendations. So
Okay,
that's what being part of your process is.
got that, but it doesn't seem like there were a lot of architectural comments, but, okay.
well, to be fair, the ARB did have architectural comments that they wanted changes, and they have not seen this yet.
Okay.
Is that, am I correct, Mark?
Correct.
That-
I'm
So
gonna be
this
there
is what's
Thursday.
being presented to the ARB on Thursday.
Okay.
Anything else, Brendan, Michelle, Joe, that we need as far as this application goes before we could close the public hearing? Okay.
No, I think they're far enough for the stormwater, it's just looking at some of the water quality and redevelopment standards in the manual, and I think Mark's, we've been in touch about some comments like that, so they're all workable.
Mark, you're going back to the ARB on the 7th, Thursday, right? Okay.
boy, if I could point out one thing.
Sure.
The board should consider starting the process with the ARB earlier, because what happens is we run into this wall where we can get, basically, if tonight we could close it, but with them, it could go a month before they even write their minutes. So my point is that, I know usually we have to be referred to them before, but the board should consider that should be one of the preliminary steps so that we get through that process a lot quicker. Because the only time I could go to was last month. So I'm out of sync. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. And this is our initial public hearing. Usually we adjourn several times. This is a little bit unique in that you have, essentially all of your plans and everything completed, because you had already had half of that site approved. So this is probably a little bit unique, but I hear you, Mark. If we adjourn to March 19th, is that, I'm assuming, and
Works for me.
we can ask the ARB, Pam, we'll ask the ARB to give us their minutes back in time for our March 19th meeting.
Appreciate it.
Okay. If no one has any concerns, we have a motion to adjourn this public hearing to March 19th.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. And just let us know if the ARB does have any unusual concerns, let us know, Mark, but I know you've been there once, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Or later.
How do I change, if there's any other notifications to come out?
You could check the assessor's records to make sure that the deed change went through with the.
I have the documents that it did.
Well, okay, but
Uh-huh.
when you file your deed with the county clerk, as of March 1st, the new address should be on the assessment.
No, it's still the same address.
I mean, the name.
The name.
It should,
Would I check that way?
the assessor.
The assessor, the town
The
assessor.
Yes, you can just call them and double
Call them
check, sure.
and just check that the name has been removed?
Right.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is the Hopewell Gas Station on Route 82.
You probably got my email.
I did?
We were fighting months for this letter. And,
Okay. I always find it coincidental that they seem to come on the day of the meeting. I just have to say it.
It was hand-delivered at 3:59.
Okay?
I think you received it at 4:10 on the email.
Yes?
But interestingly enough, it was dated March 1st. I'm not going to say anything.
How about those Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, you see what they have endorsed, and that is,
Yes.
one more time. That is maintaining the current access that we have on site. And I think originally in our first concept, we had a right-in, right-out with a striped island with no left turn sign closest to 376.
And is that the current proposal if you're not doing the access from 376, or, okay, and the applicant is comfortable with that?
The applicant was concerned about losing the right-in, specifically for deliveries,
Right.
and that major
But
traffic.
that's part of why it was a striped
Right.
center, so that you had the
Right.
swing, okay.
To defer vehicles from making a left, but allow tractor trailers to enter the site as they currently do.
Okay. Brendan, have we done the truck turns and the assessment of the fuel delivery and everything, if we have the Route 82 access only and no access from 376?
We did. I mean, it's not, it works, it just doesn't work well. I mean, it's hard, you know, the truck can get in and then, but it has to then jockey around and maneuver itself to be able to pull back out again.
Okay.
Or even to
And-
get in position to unload.
Okay, and is there any other changes we would make to the plan other than just going with the option that we've already looked at with the two Route 82 entrances?
Yeah, I think the only thing we could potentially look at is to make sure that if the area that we have for that is maximized. And, you know, I think we were waiting for this answer first, so we could revisit that.
Was there ever a meeting that you were at that with anyone from DOT or traffic safety up there?
The only person that Brian and I jointly met with was Rock DeNegro, who's the permanent
And
engineer.
he told you that he didn't have authority, he had to send it
To the
another
regional
division.
office, right.
And did you have a meeting with those?
We never were able to facilitate a meeting. But, I mean, I think the answer of not having the access on 376 is not, you know, ideal, and it's not, I think, what we anticipated.
No, it's not.
And you know, I still think it's probably worthwhile to just, you know, make one more contact and actually see if we could facilitate to sort of understand their reasoning a little bit better than, you know, what they put in the letter. Basically, the letter states that they wanted it to be left the way it was, and they thought that the new access created an additional points of conflict, which in reality, since we're...
Now, so it does exactly the opposite.
Exactly. I mean, since we were restricting the movements in the one driveway from what they were previously, and now we're only allowing right turns, the actual, you know, we're not really increasing conflict at all. If anything, it's remaining the same or being reduced. So,
Or I think to Mike's point in one of our prior meetings, people turning right on 376 trying to turn into that first driveway are taking up both lanes on
Right.
82 to try to get into the station.
right. We did also take a quick look at the accident history there, and basically there was a few accidents relating to cars coming out of the gas station. Unfortunately, it's impossible from the MV-104 police report records to identify, you know, which driveway they're coming out of. You know, they just say exiting the gas station. So, but it didn't show at least any reportable accidents, you know, happening from rear ends or anything at that area. But it doesn't mean that they're not occurring, because it's just that they're not reportable.
I think there's probably close calls there every day.
Yeah, right. And I think even someone on the board indicated they've witnessed that or.
Would the board consider perhaps authorizing a letter to be drafted for the chair lady to DOT
Absolutely.
indicating that it would be the board's preference that DOT strongly reconsider this particular road?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes, based on the submission by an applicant, they don't realize the town's feelings on it.
Right. And I will indicate, and Brian can attest to this because it was in my email, I did actually indicate to the DOT that the board supported this access, and that the professional
Right.
part of the board also supported this access. So they did, you know, my understanding, they did take that into consideration, but.
Where did that go?
That did go to both entities, both to the permanent engineer and to the regional office. Basically, and even the information that I was giving is somewhat in conflict, because the permit engineer will say that it's the call of the regional office because it's a commercial site plan. But then when you talk to the regional office, they make a distinction between a minor commercial project and a major commercial project. They do have complete control over a major commercial project. they say that they only provide input for a minor commercial, and it's still left up to the decision of the permit engineer and the resident engineer. So, I mean, I think it's worthwhile to at least try to facilitate a meeting where, you know, we can have, and actually, I mean, that is what Brian and I tried to do from the get-go.
We've been trying diligently. I mean, I think when we actually met physically out there with Rock back in November, and I think we officially started pushing the paperwork and plan alternatives in December. So here we are March 1st, according to the letter, and we're just receiving input. So we haven't been, and Brennan's been really pushing from his DOT experience.
Well, if the board wishes, the supervisor call the regional director, Mr. Borden, and see if he can facilitate it.
I think that would be terrific.
That would be great, because my concern would be, what's this gonna do to your schedule? As you just mentioned, it took 3 months to get a simple no.
That's kind of what we're getting here. If we can
But
have some
reconsideration could be
persuasion from the other
decades.
end, it may help go a long way, but I would hope that the letter could be generated as soon as possible, so we could maybe get on for the March 19th meeting for a decision. Maybe we'll have an answer from DOT.
I don't think we had you on for decision because you're still in the public hearing process. We had you for a neg deck. Tom, what's your sense of timing? I mean, I can.
Well,
if
speak
it's-
to the supervisor tomorrow. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll call him tomorrow, Mr. Borden, and see what
If we think 2 weeks is reasonable to try to get a meeting together before
I'm
next.
sure we'll have a meeting scheduled.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll also make a call to at least the permit engineer, because, I mean, we had a conversation today, and the intent was to have a follow-up conversation today, but just dropping off a letter as opposed to calling me back. We'll take care of that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And Tom, if you need me for anything, I'm sure the supervisor won't, but if you do, just let me know. Okay. Anything else with this? All right.
That's the major issue.
All right, why don't we put you on for discussion again on the 19th? Just to at least have an update. If we do have something back and we're able to take a look at a neg deck, we would do that, but you know, we're gonna need at least a couple days leave.
And I would just have that, I had that recommendation that area that's in the right-of-way, that's landscaped, kind of landscaped, if there could be some additional landscaping to soften the site, because it is sort of a very obvious site in Hopewell. This is obviously not to hold anything up, but if possible, while you're having that conversation, if you could get permission to put in additional landscaping there, that would be terrific, I think, for the site.
The project still will require a highway work permit. So, you know, I mean, there'll be, if they're open to the idea of adding some landscaping, it could be part of that highway work permit application.
Okay. I just, yeah, I think it's worth one more conversation. I know that.
I think it helps if it comes from your side of the table.
Understood.
Because we've tried everything in our seat.
Okay, no, I appreciate that,
Okay.
and hopefully we can get a quick return time on it too for you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
There was the public hearing was adjourned though, right?
Yes.
Was that adjourned to the 19th? Just so it's-
Yeah, actually, you're adjourned to March 19th. I didn't even see it. Sorry. So you're back. You're back in 2 weeks anyway. Thank you, Brendan.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
The next item on our agenda is the Hopewell Glen phasing on Fishkill Road for discussion. And I think everybody should have a copy of the letter dated January 31st. And Joe gave us a revised letter dated March 5th for the, just going through the performance bonding and the inspection fees based on what you had in your letter. Thank you. Bob, can you see that?
Actually, it's fine, yeah.
It's fine.
We're good.
Hello, everyone. I'm John from Toll Brothers. I'm here to discuss Hopewell Glen Phase 5. We're looking to open for sale Phase 5, which consists of about 20 acres. We're looking to do it into two pieces, two 10-acre pieces. So we clear 10 acres, stabilize it, and then work on the next 10. Just to give you a quick update, we're currently in this red section here. All the red highlighted rows are in red. This is the phase 5 section that we're going to open up.
And open that up in lieu of, just show us where the other,
Well, this is phase 3.
okay.
We feel that that's the marketing, the best marketing is in this area right now.
Phase 3 was the condos?
No, the townhouses, we haven't opened up yet, which is highlighted in green.
Okay.
In this area here. They're not open for sale yet.
Okay, what was gonna go originally in phase 3, you say?
We're just not, that's phase 3, we're just not going to that section right now. We want to jump to phase 5. I don't believe there was a sequence.
Okay, what was originally planned for phase 3, that's all?
Just houses.
Just
regular.
same houses as in phase 5 or different?
Correct. Yeah, same houses.
Is that area cleared, or?
No.
What do you have disturbed right now at the site? Do you have a sense of acreage?
Just this area here, all in red, we have a lot of houses here that are occupied and closed, and same in this section. So what's open right now is this area here, these lots. So it's just a few lots here that are open, a section here of townhouses.
Okay. I'm trying to get a sense, because I know right now, based on your approval, you have a maximum, depending on the time of year, of either 5 acres or 15 acres of disturbance. So
Right.
with what you have open right now, and what you're proposing with a 10-acre section, is that going to put you over the 15, or is it going to keep you under the 15?
I believe we'll be under the 15 acres.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
If we need to stabilize.
Yeah, we'll verify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That they won't come with.
Right.
I mean, that area, when he says it's open for sale. But the grading's been done, it's stabilized.
Right.
Okay.
was
So
gonna
that's
say-
what I'm asking. What is disturbed
Exposed
right now
and
at the
disturbed,
site?
that's really-
I would put the line closer to like where the blue road is what's been disturbed at this point. Or it's cleared and stabilized.
In this section up here, there's nothing clear yet in this blue section, which is phase 5.
My point is, I think it's cleared up to like where the blue road is.
Correct.
Right.
Right. It's cleared up to here.
But should most of that stabilize? I was trying to get a sense of what is disturbed at the site right now versus adding 10
Right.
acres to that. Is it more or less than the 5 acres? So you're confident with whatever you're doing, though, you would keep
Yeah,
it under
again,
the
like
15?
Scott said, we'll verify before we start that.
Before they clear, we always add up everything.
Okay.
Right.
Any phase, we add that together.
Right, because, you know, it was a difficult decision to go up to the 15.
Yeah.
I would want to not be over that without understanding that or knowing why and what was going on.
Are these different model houses, or?
No, the same.
Same as the ones that aren't selling down along the?
The same in, yeah, the same area in red. No different. Product is the same.
They're just not moving down there?
They're moving, there's some lots that aren't desirable, so we're getting some interest in these lots here, so as Scott said, we kind of need a shot in the arm for sale, so we're looking to open up a new section.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would have done when you went into phase 3 as far as infrastructure goes around the site that you need to include with phase 5 now, or was that all just strictly the new road and the new lots?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think extension of sewer and water into that area. Now, that hasn't been installed yet in phase 5, but it's,
This is correct.
right, that's all part of the infrastructure.
Right, no, I was asking, was there any part for the entire complex
Oh,
that was
sorry.
going to be in phase 3 that we need to move to phase 5? I know we're not gonna put anything into phase 3.
The only
right
critical
now.
thing in phase 3 was the construction of the water storage tank,
Okay,
and I think there's a threshold of the 103rd CO, I believe, so. you're
We're at 37 right now.
So they have a ways to go.
okay. And how many lots will you have under construction in total with phase 5 and what's out there right now?
Phase 5, there will be 52 home sites
Okay,
open, and currently we have 45 open for sale,
and you have 37 with COs?
37 with COs, yeah.
And
So that's 134, and it
At
was-
103, the tank has to be installed.
Okay, so sometime during phase 5, you're gonna have to install that.
And I might add, there's been discussions about possibly relocating that tank off-site as part of a bigger overall town-wide water system, so
Okay.
that's also going on right now.
Okay.
And also at the chairlady's request, we looked into the original resolution required a bond for phase 5, which has already been posted. It's $1,455,300. And it would also require payment of an additional inspection fee of $72,800. But that was all set forth in your original approval resolution. And I think the reason they're here is mainly because instead of going logically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're going 1, 2, 5.
And theoretically, I don't have any issue with that. I just want to make sure that there wasn't something in phase 3 that we need for the rest of the project that we're skipping over. So it doesn't sound like there is. Okay. Aside from the water tank, and you know what your requirement is for that.
Right. And I'd also point out that the water tank is bonded as part of the bonding for all the phases that we have.
Scott, if that goes off-site, is there any infrastructure, is there anything we would need to do differently at this site that should be considered right now, or that we need to take into account right now as far as piping or anything like that?
We've had some preliminary talks as far as phase 5, if they may change some pipe sizing in there in anticipation
Okay.
of a
And
remote
you're
storage tank.
comfortable with that?
So we've been having that dialogue.
Okay, and do we need to change the bonding amount or anything based on changes to pipe size and that sort of thing?
It's a little premature to say
Okay.
that just at this point.
Where would you put the tank off-site?
The town owns 2 other locations that could serve as a tank site.
They're not near here, though, are they?
I'm sorry?
Are they near here?
One is across the street and one is at Fishkill Plains. And the town is also looking to expand our water storage, so rather than having multiple tanks, it might make sense to combine the tanks at an ideal location. So that's what we're evaluating right now. The caveat to that, I don't want to get into all these details, because right now they're buying water from the county, and this would be town water, so there's a lot of little details we've got to work out over the next couple of months.
Okay.
Now, what site does the town own on the other side? I'm just being nosy.
North is Fishkill Plains, just north of here,
Yeah.
and then we have across the street.
You said across the street from this, that's the
No,
other
across
side.
the street.
Across the street from the
Oh,
town.
down there, sorry, that's what I misunderstood. I thought when you said across, I thought you meant the other side of 376. Okay, sorry.
The only other question I had is, I know we had agreed to a revised inspection schedule where we were still having daily inspections, but I think your inspector was doing 2 days a week and ours was doing 3, or I may have that backwards.
2 or
but-
3 days, yes.
But I know we're heading out of the 5-acre phase and back into the 15, so I want to make sure we're starting that up again. And Scott, you're comfortable with how that was working?
Yes, yes. I mean, we'll take a little closer look here at the slopes and see, whether it might require more.
Okay.
Down along Fishkill Road, we'll have to take a look at that.
Okay, because that was something that we agreed to. I just want to make sure as we're changing the phasing, as we're going into a new phase, we just want to make sure we've got that
We'll
scheduled.
take a hard look at that.
Okay. And then I guess along with that, Scott, I want to make sure that the inspection fee was sufficient, or if we think we're comfortable with the schedule as we had revised it last year, if there's an adjustment here to be made, I'm fine with that. Assuming board members also.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll look at that as well. Aside from the change to going into phase 5 instead of phase 3, is there anything else at the site that's changing right now, or different from what we've talked about?
Nothing's
Everything
changed,
else
yeah.
status quo? Okay.
I just want to point out, I know in the terms, once you got the road open at 376, you're going to bring your construction traffic in on 376, so that's the same case. You still intend to make your main access, primary access.
Off of 376, yeah.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. At what point, as you expand this area 5, at what point does that 376 access open?
It's open right now.
Yeah,
Oh, it is open?
Governor's Boulevard is open.
all the way through
All the way
Fishkill
through.
Road.
All the way out, you can go in and out from 376 on the corner?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I missed it.
The culvert crossing is in over the rail trail, lighting is in, the pavement is in.
Well, that's good then. That gives you more in and outs.
The only other thing I might want to add while we're on the subject of progress is Toll's proposing to do the overlay on Fishkill Road sooner rather than later. We're working with them to try to work out some details on that.
Well, I think once the construction comes to 376, then they can do the overlay. once the construction traffic comes in through 376.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
saw it
It'd be
separately.
incentive for them,
Look
I
at
think,
the
to
road
get the
and
traffic
Yeah.
Yeah.
coming in off the state road.
Yeah.
Once they
You
make
wouldn't
that
want to do it
investment.
before they,
Anything else we should discuss with regard to this? Tom, a change like this with the needing to look at the inspection fees and things like that, I think it's easier to do by resolution, just so that we have.
It's already in the approval resolution, the sections. And the way we handled it last time, I went back and looked at it in the minutes, it was just they came in for a discussion, advised you that they were going into the next phase, you did a review like this, and then they marched on.
When they were going into the next expected.
Well, when they went
phase.
from phase 1 to phase 2, they came in to say they were
Right.
ready to go into that, right?
Right.
So in this case, they're telling you they're gonna go into another phase, but instead of 3, they're going to 5. But all of the bonding amounts, inspection fees, et cetera, are all spelled out in the original approval resolution.
Okay. And are we comfortable with the inspection fees based on what we've changed? That's what,
Yes.
Yeah.
all right. I
The
thought,
only-
I thought you just said you were gonna check into it, Scott, that's why I was,
Well, we did give it a cursory, man, I'll give it a final, but I think we're fine. I think we're fine.
okay.
The only other thing that I just want to add is that, I hate to bring up the subject, but Dickey Lane, which is phase 4, we have had some reports of some problems with wells in that vicinity, so we may ask to have the main extended to the property line for future service to that area.
Okay. And is that assuming that this becomes a town water project or regardless?
Well, I mean, it's all being dedicated to the town at the end. It's just a matter of where we're getting the water from, but it's going to be a town district. It is a town district.
Regardless of whether it's coming from the county or whether it's a town
It's
source?
still a
I
town
got you,
district.
okay. Is that something, we've had conversations with you already about that? Are you comfortable with that, or is that news?
That's new.
Yeah, it may be a little new to John, but I just wanted to get
Okay.
it out there.
Okay.
It's just something, like about 3 weeks ago, we got a couple phone calls, so
Okay.
problems with having to re-drill wells, so while we're on the subject of making some changes, I did want to bring that up, so.
Scott, what wells are,
Often Dickey Lane private wells.
yeah, but what wells have been put near there? Because
No, just existing
So they're
wells
existing
that people
homeowners,
are running.
well
dry.
I got that, but I said, what are the wells that Hopewell Glen has put, that's, or could?
No, it's.
No, they haven't impacted it, no. It's
Oh,
just
okay,
that
I'm sorry.
they're running a main
Okay.
at a certain point and to get a little bit
Okay.
further.
Water source we
Because
could
we don't want to
bring.
have to dig up roads again to extend the
Right,
main.
but for no
No cause.
No,
no
nothing.
causal reason, thank you. That was the piece I was,
Oh, no, right, this is, I understand what
it
you were
wasn't
saying.
that obvious.
No,
okay?
no, I understood, I didn't understand what you were asking.
There was a causal link suggested.
I didn't pick that up. All right. Okay. So, Tom, if you're saying we don't need to take action as the board, that we just assume this is an
Correct, I mean, that's the
informational
way we
discussion?
go with last time, just to advise the board,
Okay.
and there's no issues that have to be modified from the original approval.
Okay.
Not taking action is something we do well.
And just,
Mike?
I think just one last thing, just for an update, I know I believe we came before the board to remove topsoil from the site a year or 2 ago. I know you've got topsoil stockpile. Do you still see having more topsoil removed from the site? Can you speak to that?
Right now, we have a staging area in this area for topsoil. There's no immediate plans to haul any of it off-site as of now. So,
Because I know that was before the board a while ago. I just wanted to get an update where you stood with that.
yeah,
So as of right now, you're keeping what you've got.
we're keeping it, yeah.
Okay. Anyone from the board opposed to allowing the applicant to move into phase 5 instead of phase 3? Okay. I think we're good if you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Pam, do we have the inspection fees in hand yet?
Oh,
I just want to make sure you, okay, so before you can go into phase 5, just make sure you've paid your inspection fees and all, as you normally would when you start a new phase.
And obviously, you still have the disturbance restriction until whatever that date was, April, whatever. So,
And Scott, just making sure we don't go over 15.
yeah.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the Four Corners Earthworks request on Phillips Road.
All set. I'm Peter Galati. I'm a project manager with Toll Brothers as well. I'm the new project manager at Four Corners. We're in the need of some fill that we need to import into the site. Just to give you a quick kind of review of the site. All the lots in red are the lots that we purchased from WCI a couple of years ago. The lots in blue, they were lots that WCI retained but have since then built out and closed and finished. Some the lots that are in white were lots that WCI had owned and had closed on. So we have approximately 69 lots left to build out. We need to import approximately 15,000 yards of fill to satisfy the grading requirements on the approved grading plan. We're not changing the grading plan, we just need that material. However, the 15,000 lots will be imported into the site over the course of about 4 to 5 years, and it'll be on an as-needed basis as we sell the lots. So on the letter that we sent out, if you kind of do the math, it's about 217 yards per lot that we need. However, the reality of it is there are some lots that don't need any fill. There's some lots that may need 100 yards. There's some lots that may need 600 yards. We don't know as to when that will occur. It depends on what lots we sell and when we sell them and when we need them. A perfect example is we're in an immediate need of 2 lots that we need fill for now. We may not need it for another 6, 7, 8 months. So it's going to be a sporadic thing. And we were going to, of course, keep Scott abreast of the situation of when we needed it, where we needed it, and how much we needed it. We're just not sure if we need an excavation permit based on the average amount of fill that we need for the job.
One thing I'd just like to be clear on, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I thought you were changing some grade. You're saying this is just to meet the originally
We're sticking to the grading plan.
So I misunderstood.
So was it a situation where when WCI had the whole subdivision, they thought they were going to move topsoil or material from one area to another that didn't happen, or what?
When we originally purchased the job, we had thought we had enough fill on the job to grade out the lots. We don't. What impacted that a little bit too is that there's a lot of rock on that job, and we won't backfill our foundations with rock, inside or outside. So we need cleaner fill to do that, which kind of compounded the issue of getting clean fill to the job versus the rock that's there.
Okay. So are you exporting that material then?
No, we're going to use everything we have.
Okay. Are you doing crushing or something on site if you're coming across large rock, or it's not necessary?
No, when we dig it out, it comes out in various sizes, and we use it to fill in the perimeter of the lots, to pad it, but we won't use it up against the foundations.
Okay.
Is it inside or outside the foundations?
Okay. Scott, do we have, if this is going 15,000 yards over 4 years, I don't have a calculator. 69 lots, did you say you purchased?
69 lots, yeah.
So do we treat these 69 lots as a project, or do they have to be treated individually?
I don't believe they need a permit because of the 69 lots and it's 200
On average.
on average.
Yeah, I just didn't have a calculator to figure out if it was over or under the.
Right, so it'd be under the 375.
It's under the 375.
It's within a subdivision and that allows import-export of up to 375 yards per lot.
Okay, but if we're doing it in 1 or 2 lots at a time, you said some lots may need more than the 375, others hopefully would need, or presumably would need less?
Exactly. We'll need less, some may not need any at all.
So Peter, I thought the request was really for lots 48 and 49. Did you
Those are
really-
the initial lots that we need
Right.
now.
But they're not the 15,000 that, that's.
Right, over the course of 4 or 5 years, we will need that additional fill. But I can't stand before you today and tell you I need that next month or next year.
Nor do I think we want them to keep coming in.
Right, I mean, but what is the
No,
request?
what
I'm
I
not
was-
sure I'm understanding what the request is.
Scott, what
I think
was-
it's just a little clarification and just make sure that the board has got a comfort level that how we move forward from here. And that's either to grant an excavation permit or based on the argument that it's 250 yards times 69 lots, that it's really not necessary.
But this was not covered in the original application, was it? Or was it?
There was no cut and fill permit, I don't think, or if there was, it's not.
Okay, because I didn't remember one, but I thought I'd ask the question. So what changed?
I think originally, we thought in doing earthworks that we, had enough material on the job to cut and fill. When you do a large project like this, it's not uncommon that, a couple inches here or there over 100 acres, you're short the material, plus what compound.
But you're talking 69 lots now, right?
That's correct.
And they're under an acre?
Average size,
Yeah, quarter acre? Round?
I don't know exactly.
Okay, so somewhere, say a third of an acre, so that's 20 acres. So I mean, that's a lot of fill for 20 acres, isn't it?
Not really, not if you
No?
look at it that way. Not if you look at it that way.
1 foot over an acre is like 1,600 yards.
Okay, so you're talking 1 foot over an acre, 69,
And you're talking about bringing it 250 on average.
Yeah.
So it's,
But not every lot requires it, right?
Right.
It's just on average, that's where you're gonna be.
That's correct.
I'm just curious why the original, no, not you guys, before,
Again, you're dealing with aerial
Right.
topography, and now when you actually start building it, you can be off a foot, you could be, over a big area, it could add up.
Well, and I think originally they were stockpiling in a couple different places on the site here, so.
There were
it's
some huge
possible
piles
something
of-
didn't get moved, yeah.
I assume they're gone?
So,
Yeah, but nothing got moved off site other than some fill that got brought down to Phillips Road for a little cooperative project that we did.
so Scott, as far as control over what's coming in and out, any concern as far as where the fill is coming from, when it's gonna be transported or anything like that, knowing it's gonna be in a couple of lots at a time?
Well, we've asked where it's coming from, at least initially, they haven't answered me. I don't think we'd want it coming from a source that's gonna have issues on the other end. I don't think we
Well,
want to be
that's,
involved in that, but I mean, I think one way to approach it is just at the plot plan stage, they'll identify how much yardage they're gonna bring in on their plot plan, and then, as time goes on, we can verify where the source is and make sure we don't want contaminated coming in either. We don't
and when
want
you
it
say
coming
we,
from
you're
brownfield.
talking about the building department?
The building department, we could address it on a plot plan,
I
as
like-
long as the planning board, consents to that.
Unless you want each one brought before.
Well, but we're under the 375, so I don't think it's a planning
On
board
average,
issue.
as long as we all understand it, yeah.
Understood average, some may be more, some may be less, but overall, if we take these 69 lots as
Yeah.
part of the
I mean,
subdivision.
as far as I'm concerned, I'm comfortable with leasing it, I just want to make sure that the
Okay.
board's okay.
Okay. Michelle, no concern on your part as far as that? Okay. Any concern on, for board members?
I
to
just have a
defer
general
the-
question. You said you won't put rock against foundations, so you want to put the rock around the outside of the lots and then fill in the rest with, I assume, something else that's
Clean
nice and
material.
okay. I don't know how to delicately put this. When the prior homes were built, were the same considerations taken?
The homes we built, yes.
I'm talking about the ones you didn't build.
I couldn't
Well,
take
that's
that.
not
Okay, I'm just, like I said, it was informational, I'm just curious.
It's generally good practice to do that. I would ever assume that WCI follow the same practices as we do.
But then I would have thought they would have had them import a lot more fill, no? Scott?
Well, it was reaching a point, they probably borrowed from Peter to pay Paul in terms of the fill, as they went
Have the
along.
areas
On
you
other
want to
areas
fill
of the
now
site,
been
the existing
excavated
site,
and
Not
moved?
that they're bringing things in from outside,
Right.
they were using existing.
Right, they got a big site to which to pull material from.
But that would imply that the sites that they want to fill now had been excavated out and that material had been used.
The job is padded,
No?
yeah, the lots are basically padded out. And like Scott had said, WCI, borrowed from Peter to pay Paul, so now eventually you run out of the
Actually,
good
you
stuff.
run out.
You run out of the good stuff and now you got rock. Which is not the best of
I'm sure Toll's not thrilled about having to go out and
No,
buy
we're not.
fill.
No,
50,000
I'm just,
fill.
I'm just trying to educate myself, that's all. These are general questions that puzzle me.
Okay. My last question is just, do you need fill on pretty much, all across the site, or is there one area that's gonna be concentrated more than the others?
It's pretty sporadic. It's around,
Okay.
and that's the tough part about predicting when and where. Depending on every lot we own is available for sale. So, we could sell a lot over here, the next one could be over there. So it's hard to tell, so it is.
But in general, there's
no-
fill going on any one of them at any given time. It may need it. It's not that everything over on the left-hand side needs fill and the ones on the right. Alright. I'm comfortable deferring to the building department as far as management of what's coming on site, where it's coming from, and Scott, if there's other things you guys need to manage through the permitting process, I think that's.
Yeah, no, I think we've
appropriate.
established a pretty good understanding, a good working relationship, so I mean, I don't anticipate any problems, but. if
No,
there
no
are,
problem.
we'll address
Again,
them.
I was just trying to educate
If there are, I
myself.
guess
so
I'll
I
be
don't-
back.
Yeah.
All right. You'll like this, Mike. I don't think the planning board needs to take an action then, since this isn't our purview. It's keeping with Mike's.
As somebody said, do what you do best.
Very nice.
We're gifted.
And thank you, Tom.
Very good.
All right. Is there anything else you
Thank
need
you.
from us tonight, or anything else going on at your site that's different from what was in our plans, or anything like that?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you for coming in and letting us
Thank
know.
you.
your conversation.
Motion
Or
to
just,
Sure,
Joe would
Scott?
like to make a comment real quick.
Just as far as the source, if you can maybe give any more information on the location where, because
Yeah,
we,
sure, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Whenever, before we do anything.
yeah, but on these, in your letter, you had mentioned it was on Pleasant Ridge Road in Beekman.
That's correct.
And since we're town engineers in Beekman, we wanted to know where a little more specifically.
Yeah, that's the current site.
Yeah.
There will be more material.
Is that a Toll Brothers site, or that's a private site?
Yeah, it's the excavating contractor. That's an interesting answer.
Well, we'll get to those details.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate you bringing it to our attention and having the
Thank you.
discussion with us.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you both. All right. Anything else we need to go over?
Motion to
All
adjourn.
right, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second? All in favor? Aye. Thanks, everybody.